The war zone was a graveyard of shattered worlds and broken fleets, a testament to the KRYXX Dominion's relentless conquest. For years, the Alien Coalition, a fragile alliance of weaker species, had fought a losing battle against the KRYXX's overwhelming might. Their planets burned, their ships were reduced to debris, and hope was a distant memory. The KRYXX, a ruthless and technologically advanced race, showed no mercy, their fleets carving a path of destruction across the galaxy. The Coalition's leaders gathered on the last remaining stronghold, a battered space station orbiting a dying star, to discuss their inevitable surrender. The air was thick with despair, the weight of defeat pressing down on them like a collapsing star. Then it happened. A signal pierced the static of their scanners, faint at first, but growing stronger with every passing moment. The Coalition sensors struggled to make sense of it. A fleet, massive and unknown, was approaching the war zone. Panic spread through the station. Had the KRYXX found them? Was this the final blow? The Coalition's commanders scrambled to prepare for the worst, their ships forming a desperate defensive line. But as the unknown fleet emerged from hyperspace, the tension turned to awe. These were not KRYXX ships. They were sleek, angular, and bristling with weapons, their hulls gleaming under the dim light of the dying star. At the center of the formation was a flagship, its size dwarfing even the largest KRYXX battleship. The Coalition scanners identified the newcomers, humans. The alien leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Humans were a mystery in this part of the galaxy. Rumors spoke of a species that had risen from near extinction to become a formidable power, but few had ever seen them in action. The humans' arrival was both a relief and a cause for concern. What were their intentions? The Coalition's communication channels crackled to life, and a calm, authoritative voice filled the air. "This is Admiral Carter of the United Earth Fleet. We're here to help." The message was simple, but the confidence behind it was unmistakable. The Coalition's leaders hesitated, torn between hope and suspicion. They had been betrayed before, and trust was a luxury they could not afford. Before they could respond, the KRYXX arrived. A massive armada of enemy ships surged into the war zone, their weapons glowing with deadly intent. The Coalition's commanders braced for the inevitable, their ships trembling under the weight of the KRYXX's approach. But the humans did not falter. The United Earth Fleet moved with precision, their ships forming a defensive perimeter around the Coalition's battered forces. Admiral Carter's voice came through the comms again, calm and steady. "Stand by. We'll handle this." The Coalition's leaders watched in stunned silence as the human fleet engaged the KRYXX. What followed was not a battle, it was a massacre. The humans' weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Directed energy beams sliced through KRYXX battleships like paper, while swarms of drones disabled enemy fighters in seconds. The human fleet's movements were flawless, their tactics a perfect blend of aggression and strategy. The KRYXX, so confident in their superiority, were caught completely off guard. Their ships were torn apart before they could even fire a shot, their formations collapsing under the relentless assault. The Coalition's commanders could only watch in awe as the tide of battle turned in moments. The KRYXX, who had seemed invincible, were now scrambling to retreat. But the humans were not done. Admiral Carter's voice cut through the chaos once more. No survivors. The human fleet moved to block the KRYXX's escape routes, their ships cutting through the enemy like a blade through water. The KRYXX commanders, realizing the futility of their efforts, issued desperate orders to fall back, but it was too late. The human fleet's AI-controlled systems predicted every move, countering the KRYXX's attempts to flee with ruthless efficiency. One by one, the enemy ships were destroyed, their remains drifting lifelessly in the void. The battle, which had lasted mere minutes, was over. The KRYXX Dominion, once the terror of the galaxy, was no more. The Coalition's leaders were left speechless, their minds struggling to process what they had just witnessed. The humans had not just won, they had redefined the very concept of war. The alien commanders exchanged uneasy glances, their relief tempered by a growing sense of unease. Who were these humans, and what did their arrival mean for the galaxy? As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Carter's voice came through the comms one final time. "The war is over. The words were simple, but their weight was undeniable. The coalition's leaders knew that nothing would ever be the same. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it. The KRYXX Dominion's fleet descended upon the war zone with the confidence of a predator closing in on wounded prey. Their ships, dark and angular, bristled with weapons that had laid waste to countless worlds. The alien coalition, already battered and broken, could only watch in horror as the enemy advanced. Their own ships, patched together from salvaged parts and held together by sheer willpower, were no match for the KRYXX's overwhelming firepower. The coalition's commanders braced for the end, their orders to hold the line tinged with resignation. This was it, the final stand. But then the human fleet moved. The United Earth Fleet's response was swift and merciless. Their ships, sleek and gleaming, surged forward to meet the KRYXX head-on. The coalition's commanders could only watch in stunned silence as the humans unleashed their arsenal. Directed energy beams lanced out from human cruisers, slicing through KRYXX battleships with terrifying precision. The enemy's shields, which had once seemed impenetrable, collapsed like paper under the onslaught. Explosions lit up the void as KRYXX ships were torn apart, their crews given no time to react. The humans' weapons were not just advanced, they were devastating. But it wasn't just the firepower that left the coalition in awe. It was the humans' tactics. The human fleet moved as a single entity, their ships coordinating with flawless precision. Drones swarmed the battlefield, disabling KRYXX fighters before they could even fire a shot. Human destroyers flanked the enemy, cutting off their retreat routes with surgical accuracy. The KRYXX, so used to overwhelming their opponents with sheer numbers, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Their commanders issued frantic orders, but it was no use. The humans were always one step ahead. The turning point came when a KRYXX flagship, a massive vessel that had once been the pride of their fleet, attempted to break through the human fleet's lines. It was a desperate move, born of panic rather than strategy. The humans responded with chilling efficiency. A single human cruiser, smaller than the KRYXX flagship, but bristling with weapons, locked onto its target. The coalition scanners picked up a surge of energy as the cruiser fired a concentrated beam of light. The beam struck the KRYXX flagship's hull, piercing through its armor like a hot knife through butter. For a moment, the massive ship seemed to hang in space, its systems failing one by one. Then, with a blinding flash, it exploded, taking hundreds of KRYXX crew members with it. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the KRYXX fleet. Their commanders, realizing the futility of their efforts, issued orders to retreat. But the humans were not done. Admiral Carter's voice crackled over the comms, calm and unwavering. No survivors. The human fleet moved to block the KRYXX's escape routes, their ships cutting through the enemy with ruthless efficiency. The KRYXX, so used to being the hunters, now found themselves hunted. Their ships were picked off one by one, their crews given no quarter. The coalition's commanders watched in stunned silence as the once mighty KRYXX fleet was reduced to drifting debris. As the last KRYXX ship was destroyed, the battlefield fell eerily silent. The coalition's commanders struggled to process what they had just witnessed. The humans had not just won, they had redefined the very concept of war. Their weapons, their tactics, their sheer efficiency. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The coalition's leaders exchanged uneasy glances, their relief tempered by a growing sense of unease. Who were these humans, and what did their arrival mean for the galaxy? Admiral Carter's voice broke the silence. The war is over. The words were simple, but their weight was undeniable. The coalition's leaders knew that nothing would ever be the same. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget it. But as they looked out at the wreckage of the KRYXX fleet, a question lingered in their minds. What would the humans do next? The battle had been won, but the war, for the galaxy's future, was just beginning. The alien coalition's leaders gathered in the war room of their battered space station, their minds still reeling from the battle. The humans had saved them, but at what cost? The sheer power of the human fleet was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The coalition's commanders exchanged uneasy glances, their relief tempered by a growing sense of unease. They needed answers. Who were these humans, and how had they become so powerful? The alien leaders sent a request to Admiral Carter, asking for an explanation. To their surprise, the humans agreed, but with a warning. The truth, Carter said, may be unsettling. The meeting took place aboard the human flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed even the largest ships in the Coalition's fleet. The alien leaders were escorted to a conference room, where Admiral Carter and a small group of human officers awaited them. The room was stark and utilitarian, devoid of the ornate decorations favored by many alien species. The humans themselves were equally unassuming, their uniforms simple but functional. Yet there was an air of quiet confidence about them, a sense of purpose that was impossible to ignore. Carter began without preamble. "You want to know how we became what we are?" he said. "The answer lies in our past. Humanity," Carter explained, "had not always been a dominant force in the galaxy. Centuries ago, they had been a fractured species, divided by war and plagued by internal strife. Their homeworld, Earth, had been on the brink of collapse, its resources depleted and its environment ravaged by centuries of neglect. It was during this time of crisis that humanity faced its greatest threat, itself. Factions vied for control, each willing to destroy the others to achieve their goals. The wars that followed were brutal and devastating, leaving much of Earth in ruins. But from the ashes of their old world, a new humanity emerged, united, determined, and willing to do whatever it took to survive. The turning point came with the development of artificial intelligence. Desperate to find a way to rebuild, humanity turned to AI as a solution. The technology advanced rapidly, far beyond what anyone had anticipated. AI systems were integrated into every aspect of human society, from governance to warfare. They became the architects of humanity's survival, designing new technologies and strategies that allowed the species to thrive. But this reliance on AI came at a cost. Humanity's individuality began to erode, replaced by a collective mindset focused on efficiency and survival. The humans who emerged from this transformation were not the same as those who had come before. They were stronger, yes, but also colder, more calculating. Carter paused, his expression unreadable. "We are not here to conquer," he said. "We are here to protect. We have seen what happens when a species is left to its own devices, unchecked and unguided. We will not allow the galaxy to suffer as we did." The alien leaders listened in silence, their minds racing. The human story was both inspiring and horrifying. They had endured unimaginable hardships, but the price they had paid was staggering. The Coalition's commanders exchanged uneasy glances, their relief at being saved now mingled with a growing sense of fear. What did the humans' vision for the galaxy entail? And what would it mean for the species who called it home? Carter seemed to sense their unease. "We do not expect you to understand," he said, "but we do expect your cooperation. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and we cannot protect alone." The alien leaders nodded, their minds still reeling. They had come seeking answers, but the truth was far more complex than they had anticipated. The humans were not just saviors. They were a force of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. As the meeting drew to a close, the Coalition's leaders found themselves facing a difficult choice. They could ally with the humans and embrace their vision for the galaxy, or they could resist and risk becoming just another obstacle in humanity's path. Either way, one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same. The war zone, once a chaotic expanse of destruction, now bore the quiet scars of battle. The KRYXX Dominion's fleet was gone, reduced to drifting debris, and the alien coalition's planets, though scarred, were no longer under threat. The human fleet remained in the region, their presence a constant reminder of the power that had turned the tide. The coalition's leaders, still grappling with the revelations about humanity's past, began the arduous task of rebuilding. The humans offered their assistance, their advanced technology, and resources speeding up the process. Damaged cities were repaired, shattered fleets were rebuilt, and the once desolate war zone began to show signs of life again. But the coalition's gratitude was tempered by unease. The humans' power was undeniable, but so was the cost of their intervention. The alien leaders convened to discuss their next steps. The humans had offered an alliance, a partnership that promised stability and protection. But the terms of that alliance were clear: loyalty and cooperation in exchange for safety. The coalition commanders debated fiercely, their opinions divided. Some argued that aligning with the humans was their only option, a necessary step to ensure their survival. Others feared that such an alliance would come at the cost of their independence, reducing them to little more than pawns in humanity's grand design. The debate raged for days, but in the end, the decision was unanimous. The coalition would accept the humans' offer. They had no other choice. The formal alliance was signed aboard the human flagship, a ceremony marked by solemnity rather than celebration. Admiral Carter stood alongside the coalition's leaders, his presence a reminder of the power dynamics at play. The terms of the agreement were straightforward. The humans would provide protection and technological support, while the coalition would contribute resources and manpower to the shared cause. It was a pragmatic arrangement, one that acknowledged the realities of the galaxy's new order. But as the alien leaders signed the treaty, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were signing away more than just their allegiance. They were signing away their future. Humanity's vision for the galaxy was as ambitious as it was daunting. Carter outlined their plan: a united galaxy, free from tyranny and war, governed by a council of species working together for the common good. The humans would serve as the enforcers of this new order, their fleet ensuring that no species could threaten the peace. It was a vision that inspired hope, but also fear. The coalition's leaders couldn't help but wonder what would happen to those who opposed humanity's vision. Would they be given a chance to join, or would they be crushed like the KRYXX? The humans' power was absolute, and their willingness to use it was beyond question. As the days turned into weeks, the coalition began to see the benefits of the alliance. The humans' technology revolutionized their infrastructure, their medical advancements saved countless lives, and their military prowess deterred any remaining threats. But the cost of these benefits became increasingly apparent. The humans' presence was everywhere, their influence shaping every aspect of the coalition society. Decisions that had once been made by the coalition's leaders were now subject to human oversight. The aliens found themselves walking a fine line between gratitude and resentment, their independence slipping away with each passing day. The human fleet's departure marked the end of an era. Admiral Carter and his officers boarded their ships, leaving behind a small contingent to oversee the coalition's rebuilding efforts. The alien leaders watched as the massive vessels disappeared into hyperspace, their minds filled with conflicting emotions. They were grateful for humans' intervention, but they couldn't shake the feeling that they had traded one master for another. The galaxy was safer, yes, but it was also more uncertain. The humans had brought peace, but at what cost? As the coalition's leaders returned to their respective worlds, they couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The humans had promised a new era of stability, but their vision came with strings attached. The galaxy was no longer a collection of independent species, each pursuing their own destiny. It was a unified entity, bound together by humanity's will. The alien leaders knew that they had played a part in shaping this new order, but they also knew that they were no longer in control. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Whether that was a good thing or a bad thing remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the age of humanity had begun, and there was no turning back.